Hey guys, what's going on? Tubo Cruz here, and today is new bike day in the new house, and I'm very excited because this is my first mountain bike in many years. So I'll be doing an unboxing on the bike that I got and talking about why I chose this one. I actually bought this bike with my own money, no sponsorships. I wish we were sponsored by Scott because I love their mountain bikes. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started with the unboxing. This guy just arrived in the mail and I am super pumped because, as some of you guys know, I just moved back to Michigan in the US, and there are a bunch of mountain bike trails all around me, and I've been living in Vietnam and Japan for the last almost 10 years. There's not many mountain bike trails there, so I didn't have much opportunity to mountain bike, and I'm a mountain biker at heart, so very excited about this bike. We got our goodie box here. We got our front wheel. I wasn't sure if they'd ship this tubeless or not, but it looks like they set it up with tubes, so I'm gonna have to set this up tubeless at a later date. I just want to get it out so I can ride today. We got some nice tan wall Schwalbes. These are the Racing Ray. And next we're gonna take off all the protective pieces so we can get a good look at the frame. And I'm probably gonna save these for later in case we need to pack our bikes again in the future. Always good to recycle whatever materials you can. And wow, here we go. First look at the frame. So I ended up getting, this is a Scott Scale 925, one of their racing hardtails. And I actually ordered this one online, so I didn't get to see it in person before I ordered. I wasn't sure exactly what kind of color it was gonna be, but it looks like it's a glossy style black with some different lighter sparkles in the inside. So pretty cool paint job actually. And it's probably not going to show up too well here in the inside. We're going to have to take this outside to see how it shines in the sunlight. But we got to finish the build first. And actually I've been busy moving into the new house. There's a lot of stuff still being under construction. We're still working on a lot of the trim, and it's just dirty and dusty everywhere. So we'll be doing a full tour eventually. But I did buy this new work stand here, so we're going to use that to continue the build. And this bike actually is a carbon frame. It comes with an aluminum seat post. I'll probably upgrade this in the future, but for now, let's get this greased and then we can put it in the stand. We got a cool little brown saddle here. Looks like it's Scott branded. And something that's kind of funny, for a carbon racing hardtail mountain bike, it comes with a quick release for the saddle, which you don't see too often on higher end racing level bikes, but it's all right, makes our job easier. And this stand also literally just came in the mail, so this is my first time actually using it. And it looked like we had our handlebar attached here. So one interesting thing with this bike, actually, there's a lot of interesting things about this bike. This is the latest model of the Scott Scale. They just updated it this last year. And in general, mountain bike technology has changed so much since I was last mountain biking, since I was last racing. And I guess this is a good time to introduce the bike. This is the Scott Scale 925. This is their carbon hardtail frame, and they got a couple different levels. And this build is pretty decent. We've got SLX for the crank. We got an XT rear derailleur and carbon frame. And usually to get all these components on a hardtail mountain bike now, the prices are ridiculous. And I couldn't find many models that have this level of build for under $3,000, especially with the fork. This is actually a Fox fork, which is one of my favorites. And so the reason I chose this bike is because my last two mountain bikes were actually Scott mountain bikes. When I was in Japan, I bought a Scott, I think it was a 735. At the time, all the Scott models were 27.5s. It's basically the same bike, just with 27.5 wheels instead of 29 wheels, and I loved it. It was my first carbon mountain bike, and I bought it because I went into the shop. I was looking to buy the hardtail aluminum version. The owner of the shop told me he'd give me the carbon version for the same price because they were having a closeout sale on old inventory. It was an older version with quick release and a double up front. That's another big change. I'm not used to the single gears. Looking back here, this cassette size is ridiculous to me. I've always had double setups on the crank here, so using one-by bikes is very new to me, and seeing these massive cassette size, it just looks ridiculous. And I'm really hoping the gearing will be good enough for everything around here. We don't have too serious of climbs, so I doubt I'm really ever going to need that big gear. If anything, I'm going to be needing some better gears for the flats and for the downhills. But anyway, the last mountain bike that I bought was in Japan, I think about 6 years ago, the 27.5 version. Same bike pretty much, just a little older technology. And my last bike before that, when I was living in the US before I moved to Japan, was actually the aluminum version of that. That was when I was racing in collegiate. I didn't have much money, so I just went with a nice aluminum model. And I loved that bike. Ever since the first time I got it, I was on a Scott-sponsored team at the time, so I got a nice discount on it. And I loved that bike. So my last few mountain bikes have always been Scott hardtails. I love them. And when I was shopping around online to look for what kind of bike can I get, I saw that this bike was actually on sale for 30% off. So originally this bike is about $2,700 US retail, and it's on sale right now for about $1,800, or I think it was $1,799. And I just couldn't beat that price. You're getting a full carbon, race-ready hardtail, SLX cranks, XT rear derailleur, Fox fork, everything that I want, updated frame, and I couldn't resist. So if you're interested in getting one for yourself, you can check the link down below to the website that I bought it from. Again, not sponsored by Scott or anything. I bought this with my own money. I couldn't find a better deal out there if you're looking for a decent race-ready XC hardtail, and super pumped about this bike. Anyway, let's finish the build. There's really not too much to do. This thing is almost ready outside the box. We just got to get the handlebars attached here. And that was one thing that I was a little worried about here, because this uses the new integrated style where the cables go in through the headset. And again, all this technology is new to me, and I was a little bit worried I wouldn't know what to do, but it looks like everything's pretty much ready to go. I just got to put the bars in the stem, and I'll figure out how to drop this later. Oh, and actually this is kind of annoying. I really dislike when they use the star bolt instead of the hex. It's just, who carries a star bolt? Especially on the rides, it's an extra thing you need to carry. I don't even know if I have any of those. All right, so luckily I found an old little tiny tool that I had from just a random pile of old tools. Thankfully that worked, but I'm probably gonna be changing out these to just a normal Allen key bolt, because I do not want to have to carry an extra tool on my rides if I need to make an adjustment on my stem. Let me know in the comments, is there an actual reason why they use these types rather than the Allen key types? Maybe these ones are less likely to strip. All right, that looks good enough for now. And yeah, you can see right here, we got the integrated cables routing through here on the side actually, and then that goes straight down into the headset. So glad that was all set up. I didn't need to do anything. We can take out our brake protector here, and getting ready to put on the front wheel. And this is my first mountain bike with through axle, and it's got this beefy handle here. Way different than the through axle on my road bike. I'm pretty sure this is a boost model for the through axle. There we go. And let's see. Ah, perfect. No rub on a brand new bike. That's a first. And let's check the rear wheel too. Wow. No lie, this is probably one of the easiest bike builds I've ever done. And let's see if we're missing anything in the goodies. We got our bell. No, thank you. Surprisingly, this doesn't come with any pedals, but that's all right. I'm gonna be using my own pedals anyway. And wow, this had to have been probably the easiest build I've ever done. So this bike is almost ready to go. We gotta put some pedals on, but first, let's check the weight. So I bought this little hand luggage scale here. We can use this to check the weight. All right, that came out at 11.9 kilograms or 26.2 pounds. Let's test it one more time. That time said 25.5. So we're about mid 25, low 26, right around there. And there's a lot of quick little upgrades we can get on here. Carbon bars, carbon seat post, tubeless wheels. And as for the pedals, I also bought some of the new Favero mountain bike power meter pedals. I've never had power meter data on a mountain bike before, so very, very excited to see how these work. I ended up only getting the left side power meter. It's quite a bit cheaper than getting both sides, and I don't need power meter data for both my legs. But these weren't too bad, way cheaper than what power meters used to be. The annoying thing with these pedals though is you need to use a pedal wrench. They don't have an Allen key fitting on the inside. And I'll worry about setting these up tubeless later. I've actually never set up my bikes tubeless before, so I need to learn how to do that first. For right now, I just want to get out and ride. I've been riding tubes my whole life, so I can ride tubes for another week or two. Speaking of which, I didn't order any spare tubes yet, so hopefully I don't get a flat on today's ride. And let's check and see if the gears work. Perfect. All right, so here we go. The bike is fully built up and ready to go. This is the Scott Scale 925. And looking at the video now, the frame actually looks kind of like a dark green. That was one thing I was a little worried about when I first ordered the frame, but it is definitely more black, and it does have those sort of sparkles, yellowish sparkles hidden underneath the frame, so maybe that's what's giving it that green look in the video, but definitely in person it looks a bit more black, and excited to see what it looks like outside in the sunlight. And let's go over the total build and specs of the bike now that everything's ready to go. So first thing you'll probably notice is the tan wall tires matching the tan saddles. So that does look pretty good with the whole black frame and everything, and even with the Scott logo on the down tube. All in all, it looks like a very clean looking bike, and I still can't believe the deal on this thing, about 1,700 bucks, and comes with SLX cranks, XT rear derailleur, and also this stealth black Fox 32 rhythm fork. And really amazing deal with all these components and specs for this price. I'll leave a link down below, again, in case you're interested. I believe the website was Contender Bicycles. They're a bike shop based out of Utah. And I think they did pre-build part of the portion of the bike before they shipped it. They mentioned something about that on the phone when I was ordering it. So yeah, this was easily the easiest build I've ever done. Everything was pretty much ready to go outside the box. Just a little bit of basic assembly, and this thing is ready to go. Another feature here is we have the lockout on the fork. So we got some controls for that here on the left side. We can lock it and unlock it. So that's really nice to have up here on the handlebar setup. And these are the grips here. So everything I believe is the Scott branded Syncross stuff. We've got our Shimano brakes and shifter. That's going to be weird for me to get used to. I'm used to having shifters on both sides of my mountain bike, but now it's the lockout on one side and the shifter on the other. I haven't used these tires before. These are the Racing Ray, but they look like a pretty decent solid starting tire. And here's where the cables are routing in here into the headset. So I'm curious how this will hold up on like a muddy ride and stuff, if there's going to get mud and stuff in here, but I'll worry about this later because I probably do want to try and slam this stem a little bit if I can, but for now, I'm just going to leave it alone and go for my ride. And for the SLX crank, it looks like we've got a 32 tooth up in the front. I am worried this might be a little bit too small. I might have to increase that a little bit because we don't really have many big climbs here in Michigan. They're all 1 minute, 2 minute max, and this is definitely probably more than I need. I'm not sure the exact size of the outer ring, but this one says 45, so I'm guessing this one's at least 48, if not higher, which is just, the size of this is ridiculous to me. It's bigger than my hand. And we've also got the Dior XT rear derailleur here. Hub sound, pretty decent. And overall, this frame just looks really clean. We still got some decent clearance up here in the rear top. A little bit tighter down on the bottom, so this is probably the max tire size you'd want on here. And this seat post also has the handy dandy numbers, so you can tell exactly what height that you want to set it to. And yeah, this tubing looks really clean. Some nice sharp edges here. We got the Scale logo up here on the top, nice and clean. So it's decently light for now, and I'll be looking to make some upgrades in the future to try and get the weight down. And already the weight is lighter than my gravel bike, which is pretty funny. But I'm super excited for this bike. I'm a mountain biker at heart. I grew up on the mountain bike trails here in Southeast Michigan, and really excited to be able to ride them again. And just, yeah, I can't wait to get out on the trails. I've ridden the trails a little bit on my gravel bike so far, but it's not the same. It's way more comfortable, way more fast on a nice XC mountain bike. For this video, we're just gonna focus on the build and showing you guys the bike. I'll be filming a separate video with my first ride impressions, seeing how this bike performs, and I'm probably gonna be filming that in a few minutes, honestly. So we still got some, it's amazing here. The daylight lasts forever. It's bright until 9 p.m. So even if I work really late, I can still go for a ride at 7 o'clock at night and I still got 2 hours of sunlight. So that's amazing. And yeah, really excited to test this bike out. One thing I'm a little concerned about though is when the handlebars do twist like this, I'm worried it's gonna hit the frame, so I might have to add some protection or something for that. But otherwise, this bike is ready to go. Well, one more thing, I gotta get a shock pump. This is probably all right for right now, but yeah, sometimes some old mountain bikes, they used to ship them with the shock pump. I guess they don't do that anymore. Anyway guys, that's it for today's video. Be sure to give the video a like before you go. Also, a special thank you to all of our awesome supporters over on Patreon. If you want to help support our channel and future videos, you can check out our Patreon link down below. You get early access to videos and some other perks. Anyway guys, I'm going to hurry up and wrap this up so I can get out for my ride, and we'll see you in the next video.